Mataji, we can get started.
2 minutes, Mataji.
Okay.
Nita Mataji, let me know after it's posted, okay?
Yes, Mataji. I'll let Yes, Mataji posted.
Hare Krishna, thank you all so much for joining us today. And, I have to start the record. Hare Krishna, welcome to Bhakti Sangha Japa conference call. Thank you all so much for joining us today and giving us your very valuable association in this wonderful series of Nectar of Instruction, Isopanishad, and Nectar of Devotion. And today we are continuing our study of Sri Isopanishad. We have covered the invocation verse, the first verse so far. And today we have her grace Radhika Kasturi Mataji with us, and she will be covering the very next verse of Sri Isopanishad. So thank you so much, Radhika Mataji. You may now take over the call.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you for the opportunity. Hare Krishna. So let's get started. Invocation prayers. Om Ajnana Timirantasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Nena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Nitinamine Namaste Saraswati Deve Kauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschayata Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So let's look at the meaning of these invocation prayers. I was born in the darkest ignorance, and my spiritual master opened my eyes with the torch of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances unto him. I offer my respectful obeisances unto his grace, unto his divine grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, who is very dear to Lord Krishna, having taken shelter at his lotus feet. I offer my respectful obeisances unto you, O spiritual master, servant of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami. You are kindly preaching this message of Bhakti, message of Lord Chaitanya Deva, and delivering the Western countries, which is filled with impersonalism and voidism. I offer my respectful obeisances unto Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Lord Nityananda Prabhu, Sri Advaita Prabhu, Gadadhara Pandit, Srivas Thakur, and all the devotees of Lord Chaitanya. Hare Krishna. So, dear devotees, thank you so much for attending today's call. I also offer my respectful obeisances unto all the devotees here on the call so that I'm able to speak the relevant words of Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna. So we will just do a quick recap of what we saw in verse number 1. Ishavasyam idam sarvam yatkinchat jagatyam jagatyena tyaktena punjita magriha kasya svidhanam. So this mantra actually describes the immanent aspect of God, a God which is present everywhere and which governs everything. Because again, we have to understand this point that so whatever we think, I mean, what is our perspective about God? Some people, they actually think God is not there. God, there is, without God's intervention, everything in this material world is working perfectly fine. Nothing, there's no God here at all involved in the picture. So, but as devotees, we understand the fact that everywhere there must be power. There must be this consciousness that governs everything. And that puts everything in order. If that is not there, then nothing will be in order. So this is something that we understand as devotees. And this is what the first mantra speaks. We understand God exists. And because of this higher will, what happens? Everything is in order. So we understand it. We understand from verse 1 that God is the proprietor. The consequence that follows, what should I do? What should I do? If I understand, okay, everything is put in order by God, then what should I do? What is my role? How should I act? So I act in the mood of servant of the servant of the servant of the servant. So my mission in this universe, I have been assigned my role, but my role, it's not controller, it's not enjoyer, it's not being the proprietor, right? My role is being the mood of the servant, and I'm always subordinate to Krishna. This is something this verse 1 speaks of. So the most important point in the book that we must understand is that I'm a subordinate, I'm a servant, I surrender. And what does this mean? Because I acknowledge, of course, I acknowledge in word that I'm servant, I'm dasanu, dasanu, das, but is my understanding in words actually put into action? Am I corresponding? Am I having my actions the way that I actually speak? Am I doing my actions according to the way I speak? So we should ask ourselves this question. Am I behaving in this mood of dasanu, dasanu, das all the time? We have to definitely keep asking this question to ourselves so that when we introspect, we understand what mistakes we make, isn't it? So this is a question that we have to keep asking ourselves. So now God is everywhere, God pervades everything, God governs everything, and we understand that He is the center of everything. This is what the first verse speaks of. And Lalitangi Mataji beautifully covered this verse number 1, isn't it? And you all would have had and enjoyed the breakout session as well. Now coming back to this verse number 2. So what is verse number 2 talking about? The verse number 2 says, go on to the next slide. So it's art of living. That is what the verse number 2 says. So we will look into the verse and understand what this verse actually means to us and how we can have some practical lessons or takeaways so that we can start implementing into our lives. So this is definitely a very practical class. Feel free to chime in, and wherever there are questions relevant, you can definitely ask and make it more lively as much as possible. Okay. So does anyone want to actually recite this verse? I know there are many of you all here. So if you want, please raise your hands up so I can just unmute you, or yeah. So does somebody want to recite this verse? Okay, I see one raised hand. Okay, Tulsi Manjari. Go ahead, dear. I think I've given the permission.
Okay, thank you. Kurvan evaha karmani jijevi shekcham tam samaha chatam samaha evam tvayi nanyate tosti nakarma lipyate nare.
Thank you, Tulsi. Translation. Do you want to read the translation as well?
Sure, Mataji. One may aspire to live for hundreds of years if he continuously goes on working in that way, for that sort of work will not bind him to the law of karma. There is no alternative to this way for man.
So, very beautiful. Thank you so much, Tulsi. So
Thank
we
you.
need to understand and understand the expert and the meaning of what this translation has to say, and also we'll dive into the purport of Srila Prabhupada. So before going into that, we need to understand that this verse number 2 actually talks about 3 types of karma. So karma is pious, again, we are talking about good karma here. Good karma means that this person, he is pious and he follows the scriptural duties for what? For material elevation. This is what good karma or karma in general means. And there is the second type of karma, which is called Vikarma. Vikarma means impious, sinful acts. And then third one is Akarma, which is service to the Supreme Lord. So these are the three karmas we are going to delve deep, understand it with examples, and then look at the purport of Srila Prabhupada also. So let's get into understanding of these terms and also understanding some of the intricate points about karma. Okay. So we saw karma, that is actions prescribed by the scriptures. Akarma is one that actually frees you from bondage. That is a cycle of birth, death, old age, and disease. And it's preferred by the intelligent. Note the word intelligent here. Intelligent means this person is spiritually intelligent. Okay. Materially intelligent, it doesn't matter. If that person is materially intelligent, we are talking about the intelligent quotient when it comes to spirituality. Okay, that is the point we need to understand here. And then Vikarma, that is actions performed by misusing one's freedom, which direct one to lower life forms. This is, I said, sinful, right? Sinful acts that you perform that degrades you and it actually makes you to enter the lowest life forms. So now, by avoiding work prescribed by the scriptures, one cannot become free from bondage, nor one can attain the state of akarma. So by avoiding work, okay, this karma is very complex. You know what? I'm just better going to sit and relax at home, do nothing, enjoy my life, have fun, and not perform any action. I don't want to go to work. I don't want to perform any action. I just want to renounce and do nothing. So this is not right. That is what is being talked about in Bhagavad Gita, chapter number 3. Okay, what is renunciation? And how can this renunciation, renunciation, does it mean you just go to the forest, leave everything and do nothing? Because again, we have to think about what does our mind do when we go to the forest, isn't it? When our mind is filled with sense gratificatory thoughts, we cannot be peaceful going to the forest. What are we supposed to do? This conditioned soul always wants to perform some kind of action. It cannot be quiet. It cannot be without performing any work. That is the problem. That is what Bhagavad Gita says. And here, that is what we need to understand. It's not avoiding work. Okay, that can free you from bondage. Now, we have to understand what is this karma bandhana. And we need to also go into depth in understanding how can we actually free ourselves from this karma bandhana. That is what this verse is all about. So we will look into karma bandhana now. What is that causes bondage with bondage? When it comes to bondage, what is it that causes us bondage in this world of birth, death, old age, and disease? That is what is bondage. Okay, now coming to the slide. Living. No one wants to die. Everyone wants to live as long as one wants to drag on. And when it comes to work, to live in this world, all jivas must work in which there is a very hard struggle. Do we have anybody who's just not working? No. Some work is there all the time. Some responsibilities and duties are there when we are in this material world, which needs to be performed. And that is not easy. It's always a hard struggle. There is always a tug of war that we need to tackle from that perspective also. Bondage. Material world, whether good or bad, it's going to create bondage. That is bandhana in the cycle of birth and death. Here, we have to very carefully note the point, good or bad. It's just not only bad that is going to create bondage. It's a mistaken misconception. We need to understand good also causes bondage. Okay? If one transgresses the law of nature, one transmigrates from one species to another. So if he is going to transgress or violate the material laws of nature, then one is forced to transmigrate from one species to another. And then freedom. Other life forms are also subjected to the cycle of birth and death. But a human being has a chance to get free from the chains of karma. Isn't that a special privilege that we have, that we should use it in a right way so that we get free from this cycle of birth, death, old age, and disease? How exciting it is, isn't it? We definitely need to work towards that goal. And we need to understand what is that is going to free me from this bondage, karma bandhana. We definitely need to understand that concept. for all of you who want to get yourself free from this karma bandhana, they have to definitely listen to verse number 2. Okay, so this is the essence of the slide that we are seeing. Again, say for example, I'm going to just give you I'm going to definitely make it as much practical as possible so that you're able to relate it and able to understand it from a real life perspective. So feel free to ask me questions if you do have any. So if I'm working in the army and if I'm asked to shoot as a soldier, this is a very common example. What do I do? Because I'm being deputed in the army as the chief, I'm being given this responsibility, and I'm being asked to shoot my enemies who are there fighting against our country. So I'm not held responsible for what I do. What does the government do in turn to me? They actually appreciate me with a medal. They actually appreciate me for doing my job. Right, you did a great job. Congratulations, Radhika. We acknowledge your work for the army, and you did an excellent job. And here's a recognition for you. Like that, they will acknowledge me if I'm an army person, deputed to perform the task of shooting people in the border. It's the same person, same army person. If he were to come home and if he was to shoot a neighbor, then is the government going to give him a medal? No. The government will not give him a medal. In turn, he will be arrested by the police for actually misusing the freedom that is given to him. Isn't it? This is what happens. Because why? He is transgressing the laws of material nature. When you transgress or abuse the laws of material nature, then you are bound to get punished, no matter what. The punishment may come either now or later, but you're definitely going to incur the punishment for whatever sins you have committed. You cannot escape from the law of karma. So this is the understanding. This is what transgressing the laws of material nature means. Hope you're all clear with this point. And now we can move on to the next slide. Now, there's a very common question that is asked. Oh, Mataji, you know what? I'm a very ignorant person. I don't know anything about this law of karma. It's so complex. I don't even want to understand. I feel so tired and mind-boggling to hear all these terminologies. I'm very ignorant and I like to be ignorant. So is ignorance an excuse? Okay, let's understand that. Okay, so is ignorance an excuse? This is a very, very common practical question that people ask, and they think to be ignorant is blissful. Ignorance is not an excuse for sin. Rather, ignorance is a consequence of sin. So now we are going to very practically understand it again with a live example. Okay, so let's say a person, he's driving on a road. There is a red light signal. As you all can see in this picture, there is a red light, isn't it? And this person, he tries to slow down, and then he sees a buffalo. Very confidently, it is actually crossing the signal without any hesitation. So this person looking at the buffalo, he gets inspiration. Yes, you know what? This buffalo is doing this. Why not I do the same thing? And then he crosses the red light. And what does he do here? Red light violation, isn't it? He gets a ticket. Here in the US, it's all automated. You get a big fine of $600 or something here in California. But then when it comes to other places like India, the policeman will actually stop you. He will say, here is the fine, and he'll give you an automated ticket, stopping that person. And this person, when he's stopped by the policeman, he is asking, oh, see, this big buffalo is crossing this red light, and why not I can cross the red light? And this policeman says, what are you talking about? You're a big buffalo, and that's why I'm giving you a ticket. This is what that policeman would say to this person, isn't it? So the buffalo, again, does not have the intelligence to understand what is this law that is built by the material human beings, that is built by us, right? But in turn, the human being is given this intelligence. He is able to understand, and he's given this material intelligence, so he can actually understand what is the law, what are the state laws, what should I do, what should I not do, how, what is the best thing I should do to just stay safe and not get arrested by the police. All this, this person who is materially intelligent person has to be aware of. isn't it? It's not the government's responsibility to actually educate this person. No, the government is not going to help this person understand or educate him. That is not why the government is there for. If he's going to violate, he'll be given a ticket. Otherwise, he's not. He's going to be free bird. But it's our responsibility to understand and not transgress this law of material nature. Similarly, if we are living in this world, taking air, water, food, everything that is given by the laws, but that is given by this material nature, we have to definitely understand what is the rules that are laid by the Lord, and we have to abide by the rules of the Lord. This is something that we need to do, isn't it? Out of gratitude, even out of duty, even if it is not to a point where you have love for God, you have to do it. I mean, there are other levels, right? As a duty, out of gratitude, why can't you do it? Follow the laws that is laid out by the Lord, because you are enjoying all these amenities that God has given us. And why not? We try to understand, what does the scripture say? What is Lord Krishna telling me in Bhagavad Gita? What is Isopanishad teaching me? What is the essence for me? So we definitely need to do this as duty or in the form of gratitude for Lord. And then the higher level will be, okay, I love God. To please God, I want to follow his instructions. So there are different platforms with which we can operate. So this is the takeaway from here. Again, say for example, there's also another example, very practical example. If one stays in a hotel and tries to eat, sleep, and watch TV, obviously he used this facility of a hotel and he has to pay the bill, right? Whatever, if the bill is not paid, obviously this person who's the manager or owner of this hotel, he will leave you for 1 or 2 days. Okay, no problem. But the third day he's going to come to you and he's going to give a severe reaction to you if you're not going to pay the bill, isn't it? So we need to understand and obey by the laws of material nature. Otherwise, when we are transgressing the laws, we are sure to be punished. This is the concept again that we are talking. So the material nature actually teaches us to be responsible, teaches us our duties. When we take this human birth, we have to understand the laws of karma. After, say for example, after you jump from 10th story, you can't say, I didn't know my bones will be broken after jumping from the 10th floor. Already a bone is broken since you tried it out. So it's your foolishness not to know things. You need to know how the law of karma works. Otherwise, being ignorant is not going to free you from sin. This is the point we need to understand. Oh yeah, I'm very ignorant of all this. But what is happening as a result of it? You are incurring more and more sin, isn't it? So we need to understand that. And so the important, again, the important point here for us to note is that, say for example, you are in a jail, and so some people actually come as counselors to educate you, to make you become a good person, isn't it? So if this person is, the people who are in jail are generally bad people, and they are being given a chance to reform and change. So counselors come, give some lectures, and even Krishna conscious devotees, they sometimes go to the jail to educate people, to help people understand, okay, this is how a good person will lead his life. This is how a devotee will lead his life. And if you become a devotee, whatever bad qualities you have in you will slowly go away and you will become a good person. So this way, the Krishna conscious devotee actually educates the person in the jail, and he counsels and provides guidance to this person. But if this person doesn't obey or doesn't want to follow what the counselor has to offer, and he creates a havoc there, he will be obviously sent to a dungeon where nobody wants to come and even talk to him. Even if they were to offer food to him, they would just do it through the window, slide it through the window, and he'll be put in a dark cell. This is the punishment he gets for how he responds through his actions. So each and every action has a reaction. We need to understand what is our intention, because the intention grows into action. Okay, so very carefully, with our mind, the thoughts actually lead to action. So we need to really be careful about what we think, because that is the way we act. Very important point to note. And we also need to understand there is no excuse for ignorance. And then as a result of ignorance, what happens is you are incurring more and more sin. And then each and every action has a reaction. So we should be careful of what action we perform. So these are a couple of learning points from this part of the slide. Okay, so let's move on to the next part of the slide. Okay, Mataji, I have a very, this is a very relevant question, especially about mass disasters. We see so many people are getting killed at a point in time. What is the answer for this? Mataji, we are very, very concerned because we are not able to understand this fact that so many people at a particular point in time, they all get completely crashed and killed. It is such a brutal thing, isn't it? That the law of material nature does to us. What is the answer here? So very carefully, we have to understand this point. So if I say, for example, in the morning of a disaster, right? What happens is just before the tsunami, a lot of people wanted to do scuba diving. We all know what scuba diving is. Scuba diving is where you go deep into the waters. I've tried it once. That's not for me. I and my Prabhuji have tried it once, and Prabhuji survived it. I couldn't survive. After that, I had to vomit. I had to really struggle with the consequence of it later. But it's just out of passion. You get into all sorts of adventures. That was really when I think it was 10 years or 12 years back. I happened to try this. But it was an utter disaster. So scuba diving, what is it is you just go deep into the water and try to see the marine in the water. So actually the day before tsunami, not day before tsunami, morning, just a few hours before tsunami, the scuba divers, they actually went scuba diving to look for some jewels in the ocean or some marine in the ocean, whatever that motive was, they did that. And when they went underwater, they suddenly felt a force that was pushing them upwards. You can understand, right? Because these big waves are going to come, and they are just creating that force, and it's actually pushing the scuba divers up like that. And they struggled to actually resist this force. And then they waited. Okay, they waited for that to get subsided. And then once it got little subsided, they went deep into the water. Okay, of course, to explore the marine, to explore some jewels that are there. And what happened was, once they came back, that meaning up to the surface of the ocean, they didn't see the coastline. When they came back to the ocean, where is the coastline? Where is the coastline? They're just wondering what happened to the coastline. So now this tsunami devastated everything. Just after a couple of hours, they went, the tsunami devastated everything crushed. Okay, and these people are the only unharmed people who survived because they went for scuba diving that day. So these scuba divers, they ventured into this water and they went underwater and they were unharmed. But what about other people who were on the land? What happened to them? They all got killed. They all got hit by the wave. They all got hit by tsunami. But by their karma, they were not, these people, those people who are scuba diving, by their karma, they were not supposed to get harm or die. And that is why they survived. Although they were closest to tsunami, they did not die. This is a point. So some people actually survived tsunami. Why? Because their karma was meant to be like that. Hope you're able to understand this point. And we also learn about different incidents, isn't it? Although there are, although there are a lot of things, see 9/11 example, very relatable example, because it happened in the US. What happened during 9/11? Some people in the 9/11 building, they got fired just the day before. So they didn't have to come to the building, and they happily stayed at home. Even though it was a suffering for them in one way, they lost their jobs, but it was good in the sense they survived this 9/11 attack, isn't it? Again, an airplane crash. If you were to consider that as an example, so what happens is a lot of people, they come in one specific place, that is airplane here in this instance, and they all board the plane. And what happens? The plane crashes. But again, some people who are also destined to go did not go for some other reason. It could be because their relatives were not well. It could be because they were not on time to get the airplane. And then it could be because their car broke down on the way. There could be multiple reasons why they didn't get to that particular, airplane at that particular point in time. So even with the plane crash, some people survived and some people were killed in a mass way. And this is called mass disaster. So mass karma, or this is called mass disaster, and it is mass karma. Only those people who have that kind of karma for which they have to die at that particular time will be killed. This is the definition of mass karma. Hope you're all clear with this. And we should understand this is how karma works. It could work in mass or it could work individually. Each and every action has a reaction corresponding to that. Okay. Okay. So what is the next concept we are trying to tackle here? We are all suffering because of misidentification. Yes. Isn't that true? So this is the first point Srila Prabhupada makes. To the extent we desire to enjoy these material things, to that extent we become bound by karma, to that extent. To the extent we want to become the enjoyer. Again, the point, we have to always come back to the Isopanishad verse number 1. Ishavashya principle of spirit of service. What mood we have to be in? You have to be in the mood of the servant of the servant of the servant of the servant of the Lord. When you are last in the row of being the servant, if you want to enjoy, is that mood in correspondence with what mood we have to be in? Not at all. Right? Not at all. We are not meant to be the enjoyers. Krishna should be at the center. He should be the proprietor. He should be the controller. He should be the enjoyer. And we are all servants of devotees of the Lord. Okay, so this principle, we all suffer because of misidentifying ourselves with matter. Because of us misidentifying, we as souls misidentify ourselves with our material mind and material body, which is getting us into so much troubles and tribulations and sufferings. When we always have Krishna in the center, no matter how much trouble comes, a devotee will never say, oh, I'm being troubled now. No, the trouble means when you're not able to serve the Lord, when you're not able to give attention to the Lord, when you're not able to do your service to the Lord, when you're not able to perform your daily devotional activities to the Lord, that is suffering for a devotee. Not this material suffering. Of course, material sufferings is real and it is going to torment us. But if the devotee is firmly, staunchly believing Krishna to be the Lord and he is responsible and whatever is happening is under the direction of Krishna. So it must definitely be beneficial for a devotee from that perspective to make him closer to attain the lotus feet of Lord Krishna. This is how a devotee thinks. And hence, we always have to revert back and not only theoretically say we are the servant of the servant, but practically understand and realize it from our hearts and try to actually exhibit it in our actions. Our intentions and actions must actually be parallel. They must be same to same. We should not deceive. Okay, let's try to be realistic. At the same time, please the Lord and devotees at all instants and all points in time. This is how we avoid misidentification. All right. So this is the slide. Okay, let's move on. Okay, now I actually want to go to this last slide. I'm sorry, and help you understand some of the concepts from this last slide. Okay, because we talked about karma, vikarma, and akarma, I want to actually get into some examples and help you understand what is this karma, what is this vikarma, and what is this akarma, using some examples so you're able to relate to it. Because the second verse essentially talks about these three, and if we don't do the right thing, then what happens, or get confused with these terminologies, then it may not yield us the prospects that we're looking for from this verse. Hence, my focus here would be to focus on these three terminologies and then see how we can actually get liberated or liberated from karma bandhana, so as to speak. So let's say, first we'll take the example of vikarma. So vikarma is impious sinful acts. Now I here have Dhritarashtra as an example. Now we understand after this very bloody Kurukshetra war, what happened? Dhritarashtra, he went to Krishna and he asked Krishna, you know, I had 100 sons and everybody got killed in the war. Why, Krishna? Why? Can you give me an explanation? Because all of me, not one son survived the war, not even one. Can you help me understand why all my sons got destroyed, or they're all dead in the war? Can you help me understand what is the reason for the death? And then Krishna replies, 50 lifetimes ago, what happened was you were a hunter. 50 lifetimes ago, okay? You are a hunter. While hunting, you actually tried to shoot a male bird, but what happened was it flew away. And out of anger and out of desperation, you ruthlessly slaughtered all the 100 baby birds that were born to this male bird that were there in the nest. They were just newly born. And you killed all of them mercilessly. The father bird had to watch this. Imagine this father bird. Every animal or a living being has affection to their loved ones, isn't it? So that affection is there even in the birds. And looking at this male bird was helplessly watching Dhritarashtra kill all the baby birds. And seeing the pain of the 100 birds, seeing this, obviously, we see that Dhritarashtra is now trying to kill all these 100 baby birds. And in helpless agony, this baby bird is actually watching Dhritarashtra. And because you caused the father bird this pain, the death of 100 sons has happened to you. And, you are now not able to bear your sons died in the war. Like how this baby bird was actually struggling in agony and despair. Like that, you're also feeling the despair of losing your sons in the war, dying in the war. Dhritarashtra said, "Oh Krishna, I understand. But why do I have to wait for 50 lifetimes? You said 50 lifetimes ago I was a hunter. Why do I have to wait for 50 lifetimes to get that papa onto my plate?" Krishna answered, "You were actually accumulating punya during these last 50 times to get birth of 100 sons. You actually need punya to get 100 sons. It requires a lot of punya, and you were trying to accumulate it in 50 lifetimes. Now you got the reaction of papa after 50 lifetimes. This is what is the scenario." So we can understand this was the explanation that Krishna actually gave in Bhagavad Gita also. He confirmed in Bhagavad Gita verse number 4.17. It says, "Karmano hi api bodhavyam cha vikarmanaha akarmanascha bodhavyam gahana karmano gati." What does this verse 4.11 or 4.17 says? The intricacies of action are very, very hard to understand. Therefore, one should properly know what is action, what is forbidden action, and what is inaction. So one should understand karma, vikarma, and akarma, and one must act accordingly. This is the law of Supreme Personality of Godhead. The conditioned souls who have come into this material world for sense gratification, they are allowed to enjoy their senses under certain regulative principles. If they violate these principles, they are judged and punished by Yamaraj. So he brings them to hellish planets and properly chastises them to bring them back to Krishna consciousness. This is what is the case. So 4.17 clearly says that the intricacies of these actions are very, very hard to understand. And we should know what is action, what is forbidden action, and what is inaction. Inaction means akarma. And we will also see what Prabhupada has to talk about inaction. Just we now covered vikarma, impious sinful acts. And then we saw the example of Dhritarashtra, how he actually reaped the consequences of papa for the action that he performed. Okay, now let's come to the good karma. And I'll also talk about akarma and help you understand what akarma is. Okay, so let's do that one by one. So now in the Vedic understanding, the results of actions are determined both by the actions of this life and also reactions of the actions of previous life, isn't it? That is what we saw with even Dhritarashtra, right? 50 lifetimes ago he did something and now he's got the reaction for it. So it is determined by the actions that we perform now and also to the reactions of the actions performed in the previous life. So for example, if we were sowing the seeds and plowing the fields, obviously the farmer, what is he doing? Sowing the seeds and then plowing the fields. That is the karma of the farmer. Now, whether it will rain sufficiently or not, it is not the role of a farmer. It is actually taking care of Deva. Deva is the one, or God is the one, who actually makes sure that the rain will come, and accordingly the farmer will make good harvest, isn't it? So simply by sowing the seeds or plowing the fields, there will be no harvest until the rain actually comes. Sufficient rain has to come, which has to be ordained by the Lord. Similarly, simply by sufficient rains alone, without sowing or plowing the fields in the farm, he is not going to be able to harvest. Both the scenarios are true, isn't it? There is a Deva component that is involved. So therefore, what does the Vedic scriptures inject us to do? I mean, what does the Vedic injunctions help us understand from this? Vedic scriptures explain that you must just do your duty, do the right karma, and not bother about the Deva part. Again, the results are up to the Lord. Whether you are going to get good harvest or bad harvest, whether the rain is going to come, how much money you are going to make, that is not in your hands. You put the endeavor and leave the results to Krishna, and Krishna will give you the result. This is what even Bhagavad Gita talks about, isn't it? From a Nishkam Karma Yoga perspective, we have to be detached from the results. Again, to be detached from the results is not an easy thing. Nishkam is not at all easy. To be detached and not be, because what happens is our mind, it is having the sense of doership. I am the doer. I've put in a lot of effort and I've exerted myself. I've put in 100% endeavor. So what? Ultimately, I'm looking for results. This is the nature of a conditioned person. Very, very difficult to even go to Nishkam platform to just be renounced of the results. It's very difficult. It's very, very high. But Krishna, he tells us that this Vedic injunctions are explaining the scriptures from Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, everything is telling, be renounced and be detached. Just do your duty. Just do what is right. Again, we as devotees, we do what is anukul for bhakti and we avoid what is pratikul for bhakti. From a dharma perspective, if the person is following dharma shastras, then he will abide by the dharma and not, as if he wants to accumulate good karma, then he abides by the dharma shastras and follows the rules and regulations of dharma shastras. So there is a distinction there between what a devotee looks for from that and what does a karma yogi look for from that. So the little distinction has to be understood. It's not the same. It's not one-to-one. Definitely not. So this is what our scriptures say. So this Deva, even if it is not favorable now, if you do the right karma and if you keep on performing the right action, it will be some point favorable in the future. So we just have to wait. Therefore, there is no reason for us to get discouraged or disheartened while actually performing our prescribed duties. This is very, very important for us to understand. So again, from a good karma perspective, even if a person does good karma, what will happen? This person will actually go to heavenly planets. So does that guarantee that he will not come back to this material world? He's actually in the material world. The heavenly planets are in the material realm. So by doing good karma, what happens is you accumulate piety, as the result of which you go to heavenly planets, and still you're not able to avoid birth, death, old age, and disease. This is a problem. You're stuck in the cycle. Even though you do good karma, in the sense you are going to have opulence. Heavenly planets means more opulence. I'm not sure if you can think about Krishna more, but there is definitely more enjoyment in the heavenly planets. So you're going to definitely have a better life, better materialistic life. But the point here is that we need to understand you're still going to be stuck to this material birth, death, old age cycle, death and disease cycle. This is what we need to understand. And so again, so there are so many acts of charity that people are doing, isn't it? Oh, you know what? Some people, they actually donate textbooks in the form of charity to poor children. So in the next life, they may actually become the owner of a printing factory. But again, this is in the material world because they have to definitely get the credits. Oh, they did punya, they have to enjoy the credits now. Whatever punya they have accumulated, they have actually come back. I don't know why the sharing went. Okay, I don't know. I have to again share my PowerPoint. Something happened just now. I don't know. Are you all able to see my screen again?
Yes, Mataji.
Okay. Yeah, some disturbance happened, Mataji. I don't know what. Okay. So this is karma. This is good karma, right? The person, he does charity. What happens is he has to come back to this material world to enjoy the punya. Say, for example, he is actually giving water to people who are short of water. Then what happens? Next life, he'll be born in a place where there is a lot of water, maybe close to a lake or a river, to enjoy the punya, whatever he did. So this doesn't, very, very important point to understand from good karma is that you go to heavenly planets, but again, you're stuck, okay, in this material world. Now, what about akarma? What about akarma, Mataji? Do you think I'm safe if I do akarma? Definitely you are safe if you do akarma. So akarma means no reaction. You're doing service to the Supreme Lord. So if you see somebody is working, he's working in Krishna consciousness. Therefore, it should be understood that this work is producing no reaction. Not at all. Whatever we do in Krishna consciousness produce no reaction. Okay, no reaction means you don't have to come back to this world because you don't have punya, and you don't have to come back to this world to suffer because you don't have pap. There's no component of punya and pap because you do service to the Supreme Lord. With that intention, when you perform an activity, then that is akarma, right? So if you're all able to understand the distinctions between what is karma, what is vikarma, and what is akarma, then I think you've got it all. This is the essence of this verse. And ultimately, from if you are not devotionally matured enough, then we'll be thinking, you know what, I have to do the good thing. I have to do a good thing. Always do good work. Always be involved in charity. All that is good if you have a component of bhakti in it. This is what is the essence of this verse. If you add Krishna element to whatever you're doing, that makes it Krishna consciousness. That makes it Krishna conscious. And that makes it akarma. That makes it service to the Supreme Lord. That means you don't have reaction. So this is the understanding. And again, there should be some benefits na, Mataji. When we are doing akarma, we should have some benefits na. So what are some of the benefits that we can incur by doing akarma? Can you please help us understand akarma from that perspective as to what are some of the benefits we get? Again, absolutely, we get hundreds and multitudes of benefits by doing Krishna conscious, spiritual benefits, spiritual credits, yes. So first is determination to follow what is right and what is wrong, avoid what is wrong. What is pratikul for bhakti, we avoid. Whatever is anukul for bhakti, we try to do as devotees. So devotional service actually saves us from going and doing further bad karma, because we understand, oh yeah, this is sinful, I must avoid. And also that craving for bad karma goes away. Because why? We are practicing the limbs of devotional service, which are so potent. Chanting the holy names of the Lord. What does that happen? What does that do? It actually helps reform our heart, isn't it? It brings us that inner transformation and satisfaction that enables us to say no to all the sinful activities of this world. And then with the right choices, you operate. Yes, this is actually anukul for bhakti. I will do it. This one is actually pretty cool. Again, this doesn't happen overnight. No way. Even though we may know some things theoretically, it takes time for us to actually practically do it. More sincere as a sadhaka we become, then slowly we will start to realize things, not only theoretically, but also practically we will be able to act upon the instructions of the Supreme Lord and our spiritual master. So this is what devotional service has to offer us. So what does it offer? It offers you the determination to follow what is right and what is wrong. And then it minimizes the sinful reactions. Whatever, so for devotees, the Lord gives just a token of what instruct the complete one. If you were to suffer, he just gives a token of it. The token is to show you that this material world, help you understand that this material world is Dukhalema Shashvatam. Now, there's a good example of Srila Prabhupada here. Once a devotee, on his, he cut his finger while he was cutting his vegetables for Lord Krishna. So he went to Srila Prabhupada and asked, Srila Prabhupada, you know what? My finger got cut, even though I was cutting vegetables for Lord Krishna. What is the point, Srila Prabhupada? I was cutting it for Lord Krishna. Why did my finger got cut? I want to understand the reason. And Srila Prabhupada told him that his neck was supposed to be cut, but since he has become a devotee, his neck was not cut, but just his finger got cut. Lord only gave him a token of reaction. Okay, and again, this is to obviously help us understand this material world is sukha. You can't escape. If you are in this material world, you have to suffer no matter what. Okay. So again, the mood with which the devotee operates when 3 types of miseries attack him is something we need to understand. They are completely transcendental to these miseries. A perfected devotee, he is completely transcendental. He understands he is a servant of the Lord, and nothing is going to bother him by any chance. In fact, they don't even recognize that as a suffering because they don't even care about it. They are above all those. This is perfected devotee, so as to speak. And slowly we all try to perfect our sadhanas and want to achieve that state of perfection so that we are pleasing Krishna in every action. This is an ultimate goal of a devotee, so as to speak. Now, everybody knows the example of Mrigari, so I'm not going into describing the story, but we all know how Mrigari actually transformed his life from being a hunter to being a devotee. So how his life was transformed is something we need to understand, and that is an example of a karma. Hope you're all clear with this. And now we will go back to our previous slides and probably just cover a few more points, what Srila Prabhupada has to say. Okay? Now, the next point that we need to understand is about liberation from material bondage. So what is this liberation from material bondage? Regulation. Regulation talks about scriptures regulate the work in such a way that one can gradually realize the authority of the Supreme Being, Lord Krishna. Because without the scriptures, Shabda Praman is the most important thing. Everybody, so if you look at Bhakti Sangha has so many discussions on so many different scriptures. Why? Because we all have to understand. See, there can be, you will say, yeah, I understand Krishna is the Supreme. But what does that understanding actually means, translates in actions for us, right? How do we behave? If you understand Krishna is the Supreme authority, we want to become a controller of a small portion here at home. In the kitchen, I want to be the controller. I want to actually control my family in the kitchen. I'm the boss there. Why? Everybody wants to take their own controllership. They want to have their own controlling mentality. A father or a mother, they want to control kids. Kids in turn want to control parents. Husband wants to control wife. Wife wants to control husband. Like that, there is controlling mentality everywhere. But when we understand and have a deep understanding of the Shastras, we understand we are not meant to control anybody. No, that's not the role that we need to play. Krishna is the controller and we just operate as servants. Again, going back to the Shavasya verse number 1, which Lalita Mataji spoke. You have to always go back to that verse and understand, oh, no. If you understand Krishna is the authority, then let's give up the mentality that we have, which is the regulation, which can be, which can actually be done by doing Shabda Pram, by helping. This can be practically implemented in our lives if we actually listen to what our Bhagavad Gita, what our Bhagavatam, what our Chaitanya Charitamrita, Chaitanya Bhagavat, all these scriptures, what does it mean, and translate into a life so that our life can be regulated, right? So that is the first bullet point. The second bullet point talks about work in devotion. Actually, no one has anything more than devotional, no one has to do anything more than devotional service, bhakti onto Lord Krishna. Only by performing actions related to Lord Krishna, one can avoid material bondage. So we understood that akarma is the way to get out of the cycle of birth, death, old age, and disease. No matter what you do, whatever actions you perform, if you don't perform this act of bhakti, you're not going to come out of the cycle of bondage, karma bandhana. That is the understanding from this slide. So obviously we've covered so many slides now, and the summary here is that So if people are living ignorantly, if people are living sinfully, then what happens? More karmic bondage happens to them, and they are creating more and more pap or punya, because of which they have to reap the consequences of the karma, the good or bad actions they perform. So if a person is acting sinfully, what happens? If a person lives longer, that means he is actually prolonging his miseries in this material world, and for a longer lifetime, even in the future lives, he is going to suffer because of this bad karma. On the other hand, if the person is going to live harmoniously, keeping Krishna in the center and not creating bad future for himself, a person, even if he has to live for a long time, it's actually a blessing for him, because he is harmonious, having Krishna in the center. That is the verse describes. It is harmonious. It's a blessing. It's desirable for that person. The point is that in the end, this mantra actually promises us a balanced life, happy life in this world, if we dedicate our life to Lord Krishna. If we dedicate it to our life, if we dedicate our life to Lord Krishna and have Krishna in the center, then obviously we are going to have a harmonious life, a happy life, a balanced life. This is the essence of the verse. And then we will talk about, I think, how we can actually come from this karma bandhana to karma yoga to living a God-centered life. So this is something that we need to understand. Now we'll go into the slides one by one. I know we are probably running out on time. I'll go through it really fast and help you all understand what Prabhupada has to say through these. Conditioning. A conditioned soul cannot immediately take up bhakti activities and give up fruitive activities, because he is accustomed to working for sense gratification, either personal or extended, in the names of altruism, socialism, communism, nationalism, and humanitarianism. Very important to say, either personal or extended. That means, say for example, he's working for his family. Now his family actually becomes a nation. Now this nation is getting expanded, and he wants to do charity to the whole world. So that this way he's actually expanding his ego. That is what is happening here. You're doing it for your own pleasure. That's the point. There is self-centeredness even in this. As long as there is a pleasure of pleasure of me, my, and me and mine, then you're doing it for yourself. You're just extending your family. It was 4 initially or 3 initially, and now you're making it to 4. And now you're making it to 100, and you're extending it to 1,000, 10,000, and so on. So you're just expanding your ego. That is the point that Srila Prabhupada is bringing here. Isms are very attractive forms of karma bandhana. They can be made into karma yoga or God-centered activities when executed in the spirit of Ishavashya, or accepting Lord as the proprietor. When you bring whatever you do, if you bring Krishna as the center, if you keep Krishna in the center, then that is okay. That is very attractive. That karma bandhana actually becomes karma yoga, because you are having yoga means connection to the Lord, right? Whenever you have bhakti element, then the principle of Ishavashya is satisfied, and that means you will not be bound by karma bandhana, but you are actually doing a karma, because you are having Lord in the center. All these isms. So very mundane, not a mundane, very practical example would be, okay, take charity. You want to do charity. Mataji would have talked about prasadam last class, right? Prasadam, the same prasadam, if it is not offered to the Lord, then you're just simply doing charity of giving food. And in the next lifetime, you have to reap the benefits of you doing punya karma. But the same thing, when you offer it and feed it as prasad to everybody, it becomes an activity of akarma. When you have Krishna in the center, what you're doing is you're actually giving the remnants of Krishna to everybody, so that everybody can get some spiritual credits through that process and become closer to the lotus feet of Lord Krishna. This is how the isms get converted to Krishna conscious activity. Okay. Even for a few God-centered activities, can save one from the greatest danger of gliding down again into this evolutionary cycle of birth, death, old age, and disease, and among the 8.4 billion species. What does verse 2.4 of Bhagavad Gita, 440 of Bhagavad Gita says? Neha Vikarma nasosti pratyavayo na vidyate swalpamapyasya dharmasya trayate mahato bhayat. In this endeavor, whatever you do, there is no loss or diminution, and a little advancement on this path can protect one from the most dangerous type of fear. So even little bhakti yoga you do, even a little element of bhakti you do, patram pushpam phalam toyam, little endeavors here and there when you do, that actually gets credited to a spiritual bank account. Little spiritual activity you do, everything you get accounted for. And the same thing with the material activity. You are maybe a rich person now. What happens in your next birth? Nobody will know. You will become a beggar also. Who knows? Depending on what type of activities you perform in this lifetime. So we need to understand that when you do bhakti, there is no loss or diminution. Even a little advancement can help you and save you from the most dangerous type of fear. Wherever there is Krishna, there's no fear, right? So we need to understand this and definitely perform God-centered activities. Krishna conscious activities must be centered around our life for us to evolve and understand the purpose of this human form of life is to help us understand our nature, help us understand our original nature, isn't it? Original Swarup has to be understood, and for that, whatever is necessary to perform as a sadhana, we have to do as practitioners. So this is the important instructions, and all these instructions first applies to me and then applies to all of you. Please don't take it otherwise. So it's always meant for me. That's how I look at it. Okay, now moving on. A humble, God-centered life is more valuable than a colossal hoax of life dedicated to godless altruism or socialism. Again, he's stressing the same point here is that without, if you're doing it, any activity, any ism, without Krishna in the center, that's not at all helpful. We should, again, it's going to help you get some sort of punya, but it's going to get you back to this material world. What, Mataji, I'm doing some good thing now. Why am I not getting credit for it? You're getting credit. You're going to go to some elevated planet, a heavenly planet. But you have to come back to this material world. That is the point. Here Srila Prabhupada is trying to help you understand that there is something better than even that. If you're thinking heavenly planet is a great thing, no, that is not a great thing at all. Okay, you have still a greater opportunity to go to Krishna Lok, to go to Goloka Vrindavan and eternally be there as a resident of Goloka Vrindavan, trying to serve the devotees of the Lord. Right? This should be our mood and this should be our goal. This is what Srila Prabhupada, make every activity that you do a God-centered activity. Bring Krishna, add Krishna to all your activities that you perform. This way, every activity can give you spiritual benefits and get you closer to the lotus feet of the Lord, which is what is the point that Srila Prabhupada stresses through all these points that we are talking about. That is the ultimate conclusion. Long life is valuable only if he lives a God-centered life. There is no point living like a tree for hundreds of years or begetting children like cats and dogs. What's the point? Hence, we should act with a spirit of service and have God in the center and not us. Ultimately, coming back to our principle of Vishavashya, verse number 1, which talks about the spirit of service must be there and we must have Krishna in the center all the time and not us. If we keep that as a principle in our everyday life, then our life, we'll have what kind of life we will have? We will have a balanced life, we'll have a happy life and harmonious life because it is having Krishna in the center. Otherwise, everything is not going to be in harmony. Everything is, it's definitely going to be unharmonious and it's going to be unbalanced. And you're not going to be happy at all if you live a selfish life. So this is what is the point. And then we discussed about karma, vikarma, and akarma, and the different examples for the same. So I think we pretty much covered everything. So thank you, dear devotees, for actually listening so patiently all this time. It's definitely, I have to appreciate that. With so much patience you are listening, especially, I don't know, in some part of the country, it's probably 8:30. And so I definitely appreciate, or 9:30 even, I don't know. I'm here in the PST, but some of you all might be in different time zones, very late in the night. So I want to conclude here. Vanchakalpatarubhyasya kripasindubhya evacha pachitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavibhyo namo namaha. Anantakoti Vaishnav Vrinda ki jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to all of you here on the call. Thank you so much, dear devotees. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Radhika, Kasturi, Mataji. Thank you so much for such a beautiful, beautiful class, covering all the important concepts of karma, and vikarma, and giving relevant examples from day-to-day life scenarios. Thank you so much, Mataji, for detailing on this topic, and very grateful we can open the forum for question and answers. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji, for this opportunity. I really, really appreciate it. I just have to say it was such a busy day for me. I had to take care of many things, but Krishna willing, I was able to do and present it. I feel so happy to have presented this topic. Thank you, Priti Mataji, for this beautiful opportunity. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji, for taking your time out. Anyone has any questions or comments or anything you want to discuss? The forum is open.
I think Nitya Prabhu has a question.
Nitya Narshima Prabhu has a question. Yes.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavad Pranam. Such a nectarian class, Mataji, a lot of take-home messages. Mataji, my question is, like you said, doing good things is also not good. Would you kindly elaborate, Mataji? When we do good, normally we expect that good things will happen, but
Yes.
as per the scripture, it is goodness is not good enough. Would you kindly elaborate, Mataji?
Yes, Prabhuji, yes. Goodness is good, better than doing something bad, definitely. But again, here Prabhupada is talking about better than good also. So when we do good acts, what happens? Say, for example, I'm doing charity to poor people. I'm helping, some renovation with some old toilets in India, something of that sort, where we are trying to help and do the needful. Coronavirus, I'm doing some help there also. So I'm being felt in different areas. I'm trying to help people here. So what happens in that process is you're accumulating. You don't have Krishna in the center, meaning you're just doing it for helping people, again, to please yourself. Because what happens? I get pleased if I do these activities, good activities. And then in that process, you're accumulating good karma. You're getting punya. Punya means good credit. Good for good karma, you get good credit. And as a result, you're accumulating punya. Because of this punya, you have to come and enjoy this punya. Na? When you do punya, you have to come and enjoy. You do. And as a result of helping poor or helping needy, you have to come back to this material world to enjoy and reap the benefits of what you did. So you're coming back again into this material world. That is the point Srila Prabhupada is saying. See, the point of just not having Krishna in the center and doing these activities is that you're going to come back to this material world. So what is a spiritually intelligent person? What will he do? He will add Krishna to whatever he is doing. So if you're doing the charity, if you're doing some sort of, you do give books in the form of Krishna books, or you people educate, you distribute Srila Prabhupada books, you distribute Krishna Katha, you actually distribute prasadam. When you add this Krishna element to it, then it becomes Krishna conscious. That means you are actually accumulating no karma there. You have akarma. That means no reaction. You don't have to come back to this material world, because when your plus and minus is there, not there, then you don't have to come to this material world. Only when plus and minus is there, we need to come. Otherwise, if you don't have zero, if there is zero account or zero credits, material credits into our account, then we go to Goloka, which is what Prabhupada wants us to go. He, as a devotee, he wants us to come back to him. Why are you settling down for something less? If you have a bigger deal, why you're suffering? Why you have to come here and ask for small things? This is all material things, no? Why do you want material happiness? Why do you want to enjoy this material world? No, you have better destination. Come and be with me eternally. This is what Prabhupada says. So add Krishna element and make it Krishna-centered life rather than materialistic life. Where you're just focusing on punya or pap. For a devotee, we just have to think only two things: what is pleasing to Krishna, what is not pleasing to Krishna. I have to avoid what is not pleasing to Krishna and do whatever that is pleasing to Krishna. And how do we know what is pleasing to Krishna? I will know what is pleasing to Krishna if I know the scriptures. So we have to have a thorough understanding of the scriptures to actually know what is it that I have to do to please Krishna. For a karmi, what will he do? He will abide by the Dharma Shastras. He will say, oh, I will follow what the Dharma says. Whatever the Dharma Shastra doesn't want me to do, I don't want to do that. In the case of, so we have so many examples, even from the scriptures, to help us understand what the Dharma Shastra says, what a Karma Yogi will do. But the Bhakti Yogi, irrespective, he doesn't care about Dharma Shastras. Dharma is not what he wants to follow. He follows Bhakti Shastras and he follows what is Anukul for Bhakti. Okay, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Mataji. And also you mentioned that even in the heavenly planets who have done the pious, they have to, if they have to go back to Goloka, they have to come to this earthly planet, Mataji. It is a mandatory.
Yeah, the thing
from
is,
spiritual planet, from the heavenly planets, they can go back to Krishna.
Yeah, the thing is, so whatever punya they have earned, they exhaust it in the heavenly planets. So they have to come to the earthly planets to reap the karma, to earn spiritual credits. They have to come to the earthly planet and then perfect their lives and then go back to Goloka Vrindavan. So the heavenly world, there is no accumulation of karma. Whatever they have accumulated in terms of punya, they exhaust it. Once that punya credits are over, they have to come back to this material world. Here is a place that is important for us to understand. Here, human birth, that is why it is important. Human birth in this material planet is important because this is the place where we can accumulate karma and, obviously go back to spiritual world because of that. Because we have a potency of earning the spiritual credits here in this material world. But again, bhakti is available everywhere. Bhakti is, it is available in every place. Even in Brahma Jyoti, bhakti is available. Shiva actually goes and preaches there in Brahma Jyoti. For those people who can actually go, there is a chance for even people in Brahma Jyoti to go to Goloka Vrindavan. So it is possible. Bhakti is sarvat, everywhere it is available. It is that is not a point, but to accumulate credits and things of that nature, you have to come back to this material world. But people in heaven, once their credit is done, they have to it is exhausted, then they have to come back. There's no other way.
That means human birth has more precious than
yes,
Devi Devata's birth, Mataji.
Yes, definitely.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yeah. Hare Krishna.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna. Yeah. Thank you, Mataji. Thank you, Mataji, for your answers. And anyone else has any questions?
Yeah, Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavad Pranams. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. All glories to all the devotees on the call. Mataji, I have one question. So as Mataji, you told that if we are trying to help someone else, so it's like something like we are adding our punyas. So it is no way helpful. So we need not help others.
No, it is helpful, Mataji. Not mistakenly said. It is helpful, but even better than that, to add Krishna. That's all I'm saying. It's definitely, don't mistake me to say it's not at all helpful and don't help others. No, that's not the point. What I'm driving to. We need to help everybody with a mentality of having Krishna in the center, meaning Krishna should be the focus. It's not for my pleasure I'm doing, it's for Krishna's pleasure I'm doing. When we have this Krishna element into it, then that makes that particular act akarma. Otherwise, it's a normal karma where you get punya for it. It's better. It's definitely good. I mean, I really don't want to discourage anybody here to not do any kind of helping. I mean, not to do any kind of help or charity. So that is something that I would like to clarify. If I've mistakenly said something, please excuse. Just add Krishna element to it is what I meant. Go ahead, Mataji. Harita Mataji.
Yeah, so that means like when we are trying to help, so we need to think in our mind, like maybe Krishna wants to help them. So it's all service to God. So I will help that person. So we need to think that way.
Correct. Say, for example, even in the distribution of masks, along with the mask, if you're going to give a book of Srila Prabhupada, small booklet of Srila Prabhupada, that way we are actually propagating Krishna consciousness, isn't it? At the same time, having the intention of spreading Krishna to those people because they appreciate the need. Of course, I want masks because COVID, it's the hand masks are so good. Everything is appreciated. When they have appreciation for the devotee, they will also see what comes. Okay, what else did they give me? They gave me a book of Srila Prabhupada. This person helped me, so I must read the book of Srila Prabhupada. They will actually start reading the book of Srila Prabhupada, and they're coming eventually to Krishna consciousness, isn't it? So whenever we help, we have to add Krishna element to it as much as possible.
Yeah, yes, Mataji. Got it. Yep. Thank you.
Your Srila Prabhupada, the glory was so good, Mataji. I did enjoy that thoroughly. Thank you so much for that, Harita Mataji.
Thank you, Mataji. It's all like I'm learning from all you people and all
wonderful,
those.
Mataji.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna.
Hi Krishna, Radhika.
Yes,
Sorry,
Sari Mataji.
Dandavat Pranam. So nice class. I had to miss a little bit in the middle, but I tried to listen because I was outside. So, I was hopping on and off. Sorry for that. I was just wondering if it's okay to just add a couple of my few thoughts on the question.
Mataji. Go ahead, Mataji.
Yeah, sure. For Harita Mataji's question, is it?
Yeah.
I mean,
go
is
ahead,
it wrong to do? Is it wrong to do good to others, or how do we look at it? So Prabhupada basically gives an example elsewhere that when a person is drowning, and then doing something good for the person, like it's like saving the person's shirt, like you tug at the person's shirt and try to pull the shirt out of water, and while the person himself drowns. So it's not really helping the person, right? So it's like trying to catch hold of the person's shirt and trying to pull that person out. So similarly, when we are trying to do material good to people, it's in that sense, it's not helping them get out of this material world. It's not helping the soul, which is the actual existence of one's being, right? So we are spirit souls, and the other things are material, right? The body, everything is material. So in that sense, when we do good karma, like for example, if we see somebody on the street and think, oh, he's hungry and homeless, and we try to provide, him or her food, which is not offered to Krishna, then what happens is you're doing a good turn by, trying to help the person. But then what is it doing? It's feeding him. Is it feeding his soul? No, right? So the higher purpose would be to feed a person's soul, because there are a lot of other people like philanthropists, other organizations which are helping to feed on a material level, like on a bodily platform. But to give the person the highest knowledge of, he's a spirit soul and not the body, that is very rare, right? And that's what Srila Prabhupada is trying to emphasize when he says that, we need to rise beyond karma and go into akarma, because it's good to do like all these good activities and all that. But like Mataji rightly said, add the Krishna element to it. If we want to serve the poor, give them food, like Prabhupada, when he was in Mayapur, he said that, for a 10-mile radius, nobody should go hungry. So that was a very, very, great thought from Srila Prabhupada. But what did he ask them to feed? Prasadam, not like any ordinary food, right? So that way they also get spiritual benefit. So in that way, when we're trying to only do something on a material level, it's like saving the shirt of a person, of a drowning person in this material samsara ocean. And so we should try to save the soul, the person himself. And that can be done by giving him Krishna consciousness, which is the highest gift we can give to anybody. So that's what is being emphasized here. And also to address Nitina Simha Prabhu's question. So like this also kind of tied up to the same thing. So when we do good karma, like the Bhagavad Gita says, Kshine Punye, Matya Lokam Vishanti. So we come back to this material world, once we exhaust the punya karma. So people who generally go into the heavenly planets, the general conception is, oh, if I do a good turn, I will go to heavenly planets, right? That's how we hear, oh, I'll get Swarga Loka. So people don't have the conception of eternal life, or, like, even though they may be so-called religious and spiritual, this knowledge is not very easily available, that we need to transcend this Swargaloka, which is again inside the material realm. So once we go there, what happens is, once you finish your punya karma, you come back to the planet Earth, and and unless you give this desire for sense enjoyment, you will be just doing this, going here, there, doing a lot of punya karma, going to heaven, enjoy, and then come back again, go there and enjoy and come back, like that. So that is the general rule for people who are looking for heavenly pleasures. But for devotees, I think in the third canto or Bhagavatam or somewhere, who are actually very, very devoted to performing devotional service to the Lord, they actually improve on their devotional service, because practically there is no old age and disease in the heavenly planets. There's just birth and a long life, and then the death. So so they have this facilities to do good devotional service, and that kind of people may transcend to the upper realm, and they may not go down. But in general, people who have this tendency for sense pleasure, they go to the heavenly planets, they enjoy, and then they fall back down to the earthly planets. So, and then once they get over this self gratification kind of tendency, then they can perform devotional service and go to the spiritual realm. I hope that's okay. Yeah, thank you. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, yes, Mataji. So, Mataji, like we'll get requests for, like, go fund and all those things to fund people. So that time, like, we're not feeding, but that is helpful for the treatment. And also, is that okay? Or like maybe we think like Krishna is giving us a chance to help someone, or no?
Sure, many devotees are in need. In fact, once Jayadvaita Swami Maharaj, had a home program at our place, and this is a very thing he told us, that for Maharajas, for some reason, the disciples are ready to help them, right? They give donations to Guru Maharaj, like that. So, but then he said there are several other devotees who are, who did unpaid services in the temple for a long time, from Srila Prabhupada's time. They don't have like health insurance. They don't have any, money saved up, because all they did was temple seva, deity seva. And, they have not earned. So what he was telling us was, please serve those devotees. Maharajas, one way or the other, somebody donates, and, they are able to do things. I'm not saying that don't serve Maharajas, but what I'm saying is, he was telling at our home that please look out for Vaishnavas like that. And if they have problems, like you said, like they have a GoFundMe campaign, we should take the opportunity to help them, because all said and done, they are engaged in devotional service, right? And because of their sickness, they are not able to continue. So we are actually helping them grow in their Krishna consciousness. So we should be doing that.
Sure, Mataji. So it's only for devotees or for others also, Mataji? Like apart from devotees also, we'll get some other requests from friends also. So that one also we can.
Mataji, Sukhasali Mataji, can I go, or you want to go ahead, Mataji?
Yeah, you can. Sorry, Mataji.
No. If you want, you go, Mataji. I really don't have any issues. Whatever.
Sure. I was just going to say that you can help your relatives, but also give Krishna consciousness to them and tell them that this is the truth of life. And, that's the ultimate in life. The Krishna consciousness is ultimate. And this is, transient in nature. And we are, as Grahastas, we do help others. But if you can add the Krishna conscious element, then you would be devoid of any kind of karma there. Please, Mataji, Radhika, you please take over. Thank you, sir. Hare Krishna.
Oh, no problem, Mataji. Thank you so much, Sukasari Mataji, for your beautiful insights. Harita Mataji, one more thing is, say, for example, you are not helping a devotee. What happens? You're trying to help this non-devotee person. In that way, what happens is, this person has appreciation for you. You actually start giving Agyata Sukriti to him. Somehow he starts appreciating you for what you're doing. Even though you are helping this non-devotee, in the process, he gets Agyata Sukriti, a favorableness. He starts appreciating you. Yeah, thank you, Mataji. You're actually helping me. I really appreciate it. Then what happens is slowly, he will start and asking you, okay, what is good, what is right, what is wrong. So then slowly you can start instructing him in Krishna consciousness also. This way, you're actually giving him some favorableness to enter into the process of bhakti. So Agyata Sukriti is also a way in which devotees help others. Say, for example, by giving prasad to non-devotees, in the process they have appreciation for you. They get Agyata Sukriti by actually, thank you so much. They don't appreciate it for prasadam, but they just appreciate it as if it's a food that's given by you and you're a good person. That's what they think. So they get spiritual credits. So once that spiritual credits becomes piggy bank is full, then what happens? They get Adar Shraddha. So this actually, you're trying to somehow help him by giving this Agyata Sukriti to him. So which is also good. Okay, Mataji. So help can be done with the perspective of Krishna consciousness in mind. Somehow they will come back to me. Somehow they will inquire from me. Somehow I'm gaining this favoritism from that non-devotee. Then he'll have appreciation for you for what you do, isn't it? Because you're helping him, he will have appreciation for you. He may slowly come back to you. Oh, Mataji, I want guidance on this. I want guidance on that. Then we can slowly start bringing Krishna element also. So from a devotee's perspective, we must always have Krishna in the center. Yes, I'm helping this devotee with the mindset that I'm actually helping him. I'm giving him a favor. By doing this, he's going to come back to me and he would also appreciate me. Because in that way, he's going to gain Agyata Sukriti. So this is also something a devotee thinks, how to give Agyata Sukriti to someone.
Yeah, sure, Mataji. Yeah, got it. Thank you, Mataji.
Sure,
Thanks.
Mataji. Beautiful questions. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Mataji, last question, Mataji. This meter, which meter we have to use, Mataji, for sloka recitation?
Oh, I think Suksari Mataji is good when it comes to meters. Mataji, do you know? Anybody knows which meter it is? I'm no way. My son is a good singer. I have.
Which shloka is it, Mataji?
The second sloka, the verse 2. Which meter it is?
Oh, I think it's the regular. Was that Anushtab only, right? Kurvani. What is the verse, Mataji?
Yes, Mataji. It's
Yeah, it is Anushtab only.
Yeah.
Anushtab only.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Anushtab Prabhu.
like Bhagavad Gita.
Would you kindly share that in the group so that because for future other slokas also, I don't know much about the meters, so kindly request you to share, Mataji, in the group.
Kurvanyevaha karmani chichi vishechatam samaha evam tvai nanyate tosti na karma lipyate nare. But I think Suksari Mataji can record all the verses and send it to us for the benefit of others. If she can do the recording, that would be great, Mataji. All the verses of Isopanishad, if you have time, Mataji. Or Preeti Mataji, since both of you are very qualified when it comes to verse recitation.
Yeah, so Suksari Mataji usually sings everything in the correct meter. Yeah, we can ask Mataji because I think she also did for Upadeshamrita, right?
Wonderful. Thank you, Sukhasari Mataji. It's a blessing. And thank you, Prabhu, for your request.
Thank you, Mataji. Dandavat Pranam.
Dandavat Pranams.
Hare Krishna, Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. Is anybody speaking? Did I interrupt?
I was just asking if anyone else had questions.
Yeah, I just wanted to speak. There was a disturbance that time. I could not unmute Mataji. Now there is no disturbance, so I have unmuted. Thank you, Mataji, for beautiful class explaining so many examples to understand the concept. Very grateful and nice question answer session and discussion. Hari Bol, Mataji, very grateful to you.
Very grateful to your services, Mataji. Without your services, not a blade of grass is going to move in Bhakti Sangha.
I agree. I agree. Well, where is the question of a speaker even sitting and talking if without Mataji's presence? So, yes, I agree.
Mataji is always before the class and always just up and about. Thank you so much, Mataji. Not a day.
Everybody's hard work, Mataji. Everyone together doing Mataji. I am one of the person in all of you. A small person. Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna, Radhika Mataji. Thank you again for a very beautiful presentation and very nice answers. Very sensitive and nicely spoken. Everything was very nice. So thank you so much. A lot of appreciation. Please take care, Mataji, and thanks to all the devotees for joining us and giving us your very valued association. We look forward to your association next week, and we'll meet again with verse number 3 with another wonderful speaker. So stay tuned, and we'll catch up with verse number 3. So thank you all so much. We can end the call here. Anantakoti Vaishnavrinda ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Shri Isopanishad ki jai, Her Grace Radhika Kasturi Mataji ki jai.
All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.